watching ETVN Philippines.
Did you join the September 21 anti-corruption protest? Or did you watch and cheer the rallies on EDSA and in Manila and other cities? It felt good, right? Venting our collective anger at the many billions of pesos that went to dirty politicians, scheming public works officials, and profiteering contractors. We called them names, screamed for their heads, demanded sweeping reforms, and we shouted, "Never again!" And we felt good in our righteous indignation. And that's the problem. Many of us explode with outrage, then go back to our daily grind thinking we've done our share to fight corruption. And that's what the scammers are waiting for. That's happened before. In past nationwide protests against corruption, including two that toppled presidents, unleashing our rage has never stopped them for good. In fact, it has gotten bigger and bigger after every upheaval puts away some crooks and silences people's rage. After the EDSA 1986 revolution ended the Marcos dictatorship, the new government of Corazon Aquino sought to get back ill-gotten wealth estimated at $10 billion. Yet every administration since then has seen mega scandals. Kamag-anak Incorporated under Cory, Fidel Ramos Amari reclamation scandal, and the wedding payoffs to Joseph Estrada, which led to his downfall in the second EDSA uprising. Then there was the fertilizer scam under Gloria Arroyo, Noynoy Aquino's 157 billion peso disbursement acceleration program, the biggest malversation in Philippine history, and the Farmally pandemic procurement scam during Rodrigo Duterte's term. Now, the flood control scandal hijacked projects totaling hundreds of billions of pesos under the second Marcos presidency. I recounted all this in my Manila Times column entitled, "We Will Forget the Flood Control Scam Scandal and Let the Scammers Off." Only a fraction of past schemers got charged and convicted, and even those convicted have their convictions on appeal. And many political kingpins are still around because national leaders need their support to win elections. So these powerful dynasties stay on even if a few of their members get jailed for a while. So looking back at the September 21 rallies, we applaud the tens of thousands of protesters raging against graft and the millions watching and cheering on TVs and computers and smartphones. And corrupt public works officials are now beginning to spill the beans. But the Bulacan gang is just a fraction of the scam. And so is flood control. What about substandard roads, collapsing bridges, cracking buildings? For sure, unless the nation follows up our protests with concrete measures to catch, snatch, and watch grafters, they will be back with even bigger scams, as we have seen time and again. We must stop corruption before or while it happens, not just after the trillions are stolen. So what exactly should we, the angry citizenry, do to end graft besides marching in the hundreds of thousands? After all, corruption came back with a vengeance even after two mammoth EDSA uprisings that removed Marcos Sr. and Estrada. We must do more than just march in anger. In my talk with Father Tony Labiao, a leading figure in the Clergy and Citizens for Good Governance that organized the Trillion Peso March, he outlined 5 action points demanded by the EDSA protesters.
So mayroon kaming hinanda na parang nagpakasunduan na kinuha namin ito sa iba't ibang mga panawagan, no, ng mga schools, mga dioceses, may mga religious organizations, mga civic groups, no, mga other faith-based groups, no. So una naming call or demand, tawag sa English expedite, investigation. So pabilisin ang investigasyon, ang pag-trial, imprisonment kung maaari, tapos restitution, pagbalik ng perang ninakaw. Pangalawa, na inisip namin na dapat itong pag-conduct ng thorough lifestyle check. 'Di ba?
Hanapin ang mga yamang hindi maipaliwanag.
Tapos, requiring all government officials to submit and publicize the real SALN. Diba yung, statement of assets and liabilities
and net worth.
Net worth. Dapat, yan, pakita yan. So, yan ang pangalawa. At pangtatlo, na sana, tapusin na, hihinto na ang political family dynasties na yan din ang naging instrumento ng korupsyon. So, remove pork barrel and confidential funds. No? Wala na yan. No? Tapos, i-criminalize yung mga budget insertions. Tapos, ang pang-apat na sana mag-create ang gobyerno ng avenue for participation ng mga CSOs at mga iba't ibang grupo, lalo na sa budget deliberations. Para matiyak yung transparency, yung accountability. And lastly, yung tinatawag namin na sana isulong yung ethical, moral, and with integrity na pamumuno. No? We should demand from our legislators, no, department heads, and personnel of government na sana may delikadisa naman, mahiya naman sila. Kaya doon sa aming call, trillion peso march.
To sum up, the Church Leaders Council for National Transformation, led by Christian bishops and a Muslim imam, wants speedy investigation and prosecution of flood control anomalies, plus the restitution of stolen money. They want budget insertions, confidential funds, and pork barrel outlawed. They want the people involved in budget deliberations. They want integrity among public officials and the transparency of their assets, plus lifestyle checks. Now, will our political leaders and government officials deliver on those demands? Many Filipinos are skeptical. After all, it is precisely the political and bureaucratic establishment that has perpetrated the ever-increasing theft of public funds through the decades. Can they be expected to clean up their mess and never do it again? Or will they do as they have done after every cycle of scandal and protest, hibernating for a while, then slithering back in sectors still under the anti-graft radar? And the public forgets past successes, which lets them come back again and again, as we have seen with illegal gambling. And the politicians justify their scams because winning elections cost millions, if not billions. Sadly, we the voters have shown time and again that we elect those who spend big on media, posters, billboards, and votes. In fact, the current flood control anomalies escalated when billions of pesos were shifted from education, health, and other programs for the poor to find ayuda doleouts and public works projects, including flood control, allegedly for campaigning in the May elections. So if we are again relying on the government to punish and eradicate graft, then our protest could very well lead to worse corruption once public anger dies down after erupting on the streets. We have to do far more than march and shout against the crooks. We must constantly watch, catch, and snatch the scammers. And that's exactly what's instructed by two statements from our esteemed Cardinals. The Catholic Bishops' Conference of the Philippines statement from CBCP President Cardinal Pablo Virgilio David, and the Archdiocese of Manila Pastoral Letter on Corruption from Cardinal Jose Advincula. The CBCP statement, signed by Cardinal David, included two measures for Filipino Catholics who make up 4/5 of the nation to mobilize against graft. The statement instructed, and I quote, "Build communities of truth, share only verified information, counter lies, and expose cover-ups, and join civic and parish initiatives, work with movements for good governance, ecological justice, and social renewal." So not just demonstrations, but sustained collective action to unmask, denounce, probe, and prosecute corruption. Cardinal Advincula also wants to mobilize church entities to expose and extirpate the evil of corruption, not just during elections, but in the years in between. He admonished, and I quote, "In a healthy democracy, the people's fiscalizing participation in governance continues between elections by holding leaders accountable through acts of vigilance, discernment, and, when necessary, protest." One with my brother bishops in the Catholic Bishops' Conference of the Philippines, I therefore enjoin all parishes, shrines, chaplaincies, mission stations, and religious communities to conduct prayerful reflections, circles of discernment, and concrete but peaceful and non-violent actions against corruption. If even just half of 1% of the 85 million Catholics in our country heed the call of our cardinals and bishops for church discernment and action against corruption, we can defeat this scourge which hurts the poor most of all and holds back the development of our nation. Right now, our main agency fighting graft, the Office of the Ombudsman, has just 1,200 personnel watching over 4 million government people. That's a ratio of one ombudsman staff for every 3,300 political leaders and state bureaucrats. In Hong Kong, the ratio is one anti-graft staffer for every 100 public servants. That's one big reason why Hong Kong is one of the toughest on corruption. Now, if 0.5% of Filipino Catholics mobilize to watch and catch crooked politicians, officials, and businesses, we will unleash more than 400,000 vigilantes, one for every 10 people in government. The grafters will not escape that army of graftbusters. They will expose ghost projects, analyze dubious contracts, input on budget deliberations, picture and post unexplained wealth, and dialogue with national and local leaders on governance issues. And where there are concerns, they will raise them in mass and social media and in the pulpits of Sunday masses. Then our protests will indeed lead to national transformation toward integrity, justice, and compassion in our public life. And that is what we pray for in the Our Father. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. That is the way forward after the trillion-peso march as charted by our cardinals and bishops. Let us mobilize parishes, shrines, chaplaincies, mission stations, and religious communities to demand and monitor what's right and just for the people of God. This is in fact already started through the One Godly Vote movement launched on August 30 at ETVN Shrine, starting with the public affairs ministries in the Archdiocese of Manila and reaching out to other dioceses. That was the subject of our recent interviews with One Godly Vote leaders, which you can watch in the links on the screen.
Itong samahan natin na Catholic Advocates for Responsible Electorates, meron tayong pre-summit na mangyayari sa August 30, no?
Yan.
Dito ngayon sa may shrine, Our Lady, sa EDSA Shrine, no? At pagkatapos po niyan, ang mga involved po dito, katulad ng nasabi mo kanina, yung mga representatives from the parishes and barangays, no, of the Archdiocese of Manila.
Well, at the heart of the issue is corruption. Speaking of ghost projects and of course undervalued na mga materials na ginagamit nila, it's corruption. And corruption, ang ibig na sabihin nito, pagnanakaw yan. So kumbaga, tayo din naman dito ay tumututol sa pagnanakaw. Kasi kapag ninanakaw na ang pera ng bayan, ang nagsasuffer din dito ay yung bayan.
Diba? Ano ba solusyon? So, we will discuss the solutions to these problems. At syempre, ang bottom line yan, pag dumating ang election, dapat siguro we should elect people who are really worthy. People who love our country, people who love the Filipinos, people who have concerns about their morals, their virtues, their values. Kasi pag hindi po natin gagawin yan, nakakaawa po ang ating bansa.
I also wrote a column on it in the Manila Times titled, Mobilizing Millions of Faithful to Defeat Graft. So what must we do after the September 21 march? We must watch, catch, and snatch crooks before or as they strike. May we fight with the same prayers, passion, courage, unity, and sacrifice as the trillion-peso marchers. Let us defeat corruption and fight for our beloved Philippines. So help us God.